Hi, welcome to the Fluid Voice. I am Ozma in the Dark. I am here with Christy. How are you doing, Christy?
I am doing spectacularly, thank you.
That's good. You should be doing spectacularly. Also,
She, oh,
how
she,
how
her,
are how are
here.
you? Perfect.
I'm fine.
Oh yeah, I
He,
also
him pronouns.
yeah she they for me. And today we're talking about manufactured physical changes. Look, I may only have done so much work to try to get a guest in, and I just had a breast augmentation surgery, so fuck it. I'm petty like that. And there are also a lot of social aspects to this conversation. There's a fair amount to be had about the various ways the anti naturalistic stance. So,
But how does that relate to the trans community?
Uh,
yeah,
what?
uh, let's let's start with talking about the nature of. I mean, there are two things. We could talk about the nature of what is actually cosmetic surgery versus something that's helpful, and those things don't necessarily have to be polar opposites. Something can be cosmetically beneficial, but also be beneficial in other ways.
Well, mentally beneficial?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Uh, well, I mean, you both know this, but I don't usually broadcast it. But I have false teeth,
Yeah.
which is like, if you take the essentialist point of view, which my teeth came out, they should stay out.
Yeah. Which I
Yeah,
disagree with.
Yeah.
that's is a point. Yeah,
And uh the yeah it's I mean, I'm busy growing. You had breast augmentation, mine are growing at a clip which is actually painful. But you could say that that's artificial because, you know,
Your body didn't produce the hormones.
well, my yeah, um I'm blocking one and taking the other, and um it doesn't matter whether what my because my chromosomes are what they are. My breast started growing like almost immediately um upon taking uh what do you,
Estradiol?
this testosterone blockers.
Oh,
uh
okay.
yeah, it was like immediately. 2 3 days.
Yeah. Whereas I was on hormones for 4 years and very little changed, and I was like, you know what? A, I can do this because Minnesota law forces it to be covered by insurance if you have the right documentation. B, I'm tired of being misgendered, and a lot of guys look at boobs. And honestly, I would almost have to try to look masculine to be misgendered now. Like, and that does make my life easier. And it's one of those things where I don't think I would have cared, honestly, enough to get breast augmentation surgery. Well, I mean, it would still be nice for to have my boobs look nicer, but like it would have been less important if it weren't for society.
yeah. You will contact certain logic centers where it's awful big tits for a guy, so they will
Well,
just assume female. I mean, that's going to be something that you're going to be that's part of what you're addressing, I think.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is where it's if I have androgynous features, is more likely will occur, and then it's just like they're not sure, but like if the breasts are large enough to be obvious, they're like, yeah, therefore that evens things out. Clearly, because of breast size, therefore woman.
Although the other day I met a bear. No, oh no, that was back at the gay bar. I'm sorry. The other day I had like 6 errands to run because I've been very lazy and hadn't done any of them, so I had to rush around. And I was wearing a very tight shirt with and looking nice, I think. And I passed everywhere, which is the first time that has ever happened to me. There's some upsides and downsides to it, but
yeah.
I mean, people are much more likely to, let me help you, little lady. But they're also more likely to
creepily hit on you and mansplain stuff.
Well, man, oh god, mansplaining. I love mansplaining. That is so much fun. I'm so hoping I didn't do much of that. I really am, because it's not fun at all. No, but I'm very flirty by nature, even though I'm very shy. And it was kind of creepy when I was a guy. I have a point going on here somewhere, but I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, okay. It's form in a way. Oh yes, I have a friend who is not out, nor, I mean, not even to me, not to me, or anyone that I know closely, who is, it's not gynomastia. My friend is growing breasts. And I'm like, okay, well, you'll talk about it when you're ready. That's...
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, ultimately, a lot of this, though, seems to come down to the problem people have with the idea of things not being how you were born. It's an anti-trans stance. It's an anti any sort of cosmetic surgery, whether it's actually cosmetic or not. And it's an anti-abortion stance as well.
Okay, I'm not sure I see the last one, but the others I all understood.
Because if you got pregnant, you shouldn't be altering that. You should just be dealing with the fact that you got pregnant.
Well, I don't think that's... Okay. I don't think that's what that's about. There's a psychological factor that people don't discuss, which is the fairness doctrine. When we are strongly compelled by the fairness doctrine. And that there's an unfair thing in that we hold men responsible to a degree that's unfair, and they go, well, then women have to be held responsible. If a man has sex, he can be held responsible for that child for the next 18 years. Therefore, the same has to be true for the woman. Even though that's crazy logic, that's what they're trying to apply the fairness doctrine.
Well, there's a second part of the fairness doctrine as it is, which is the idea that everybody gets what's coming to them, which is how we can justify a lot of prisons and the way we treat people. If somebody gets killed by, there's one, you know, how many people will go if somebody gets killed by police or, you know,
Then it must have been something they were doing, because I have to be able to do things to prevent that happening to me.
yeah, exactly. And so it's there's a, if I may, it's a there is this will tie back, I promise. I promise. I may not be able to keep the promise, but I do promise.
The important thing is you try to keep your promise.
Yeah, there's a Calvinist mindset in a broader sense. Calvinism is actually kind of our default stance, where everything is as it should be. What Voltaire made fun of in Candide, the best of all possible worlds. But everybody deserves what they get, and everybody gets what they deserve. If you didn't have X, that means you didn't work for X. There are no accidents. If I hear ever there are no accidents, I try very hard not to blow the roof, because that's the one that. Anyway, there are no accidents, and an anti-abortion stance is that as well. And the essentialism is also in that same Calvinist sphere, where how you were born is how it was intended, and everybody is as they were intended to be. It's actually fairly it's similar in Hindu, but I think more people understand Calvinism in the U.S. than understand Hindu, although they're very similar.
I think that's a safe call.
Well, yeah,
they're very similar in a lot of ways, which would piss off people if I said that too many times.
Yeah, well, you can't control the feelings of others. If some people get pissed off about facts and can't deal with them.
Well, a lot of people call their Calvinist mindset, and again, I'm using Calvinism not as the sect of Christianity, but Calvinism as in the philosophy.
Yeah.
A lot of people use the word karma when they're talking about Calvinism. And they're not too far off.
Yeah, that makes sense. But essentially, because I get the impression that a lot of this comes from like a deeper core of reasoning, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if elements of those which are spread around help build up to trans people shouldn't have surgeries, or they should have to work for surgeries, or hormone replacement therapy, or everyone should have to work for psychological care or medical care, or any number of things. Although I don't know, does that tie into essentialism as well? I'm not as familiar with essentialism.
It's the definition of essentialism. You have to live with what you got. You can work hard to get around it, but what you have physically is what you've got. Although it doesn't seem to apply to facelifts or bronzer. But I'm not going to talk politics right now.
Well, I mean, admittedly, so obviously, it does, but people make exceptions to those rules so long as, I mean, you start getting into the fascist sympathizing mindset with that. If you have a strong leader, then it's fine if they're an exception to, even if it's fundamental rules, which always blows my mind when it's just like, yeah, I have a problem ethically with voting for Trump, but I'm going to vote for Trump because I forgot the reasoning. I already forgot the reasoning.
I don't know.
There was reasoning?
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, we're 2 days away from the election, and to be perfectly honest, this is in the broader sense, and I'm not going to use fascism versus, normality or however you want to use it. It is a question of it is a question of essentialism versus striving.
I think that part of the thing that makes my little mind boggle, okay, is the idea that the born as intended.
Yeah.
This is how you were intended to be. And I'm like, they are a woman. They identify as a woman. They are a woman. That's also how they were intended to be. Why are you saying that they were born in some way that you identify as being masculine? Is what's more important, how you feel about what they are or how they feel about what they are?
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to the importance of the mind over the body, and admittedly, like, I'm a little bit more familiar with the fascist leaning ideology that humans exist for the purposes of breeding and creating a strong nation. And so when it comes to how people view themselves, there are a lot of people who don't care how others view themselves. They care about creating the result of having a strong nation, or whatever group that a strong whatever group they happen to be a part of.
Well, I'm just saying, I would feel it was a little bit more creepy, but if somebody said, I was born this gender A, and I feel like I'm gender B, and they wanted to cure it by having somebody go in and change their brain and make them feel like they were gender A, I'd be like, that's not my business. That would be okay too. I don't get to make those decisions. That's between them and their medical healthcare professional. I don't.
One of the things I get a lot is, you're a biological male, you always will be. Well, first of all, I'm not, but that's
well, if you start, don't get into advanced biology. Once you start getting there, they don't know how to deal with it, and they just say, they just shout male and plug their ears.
Yeah, and my usual response is, that's funny. Last I knew, my brain was part of my biology. Huh.
Yeah, I think that's the best argument on that. I mean, they will say honestly to you, you can't argue from edge cases, and and that kind of thing. Which, I mean, that's not unreasonable, but I don't want to argue this from edge cases, and where.
Well, the thing is, like, being trans is an edge case. Like, everything about that is an edge case. Like, this isn't being trans is not the average, nor will it ever be the average, nor is it in ideology. It's just a small number of people who happen to be that way. And it's one of those things where you have to be able to accept that there are fringe differences. And if you can't accept that there are fringe differences, or you don't want to accept that, or recognize that being trans is incredibly uncommon.
Yes. But I mean, if you look at the expansion rate of trans people over the last 10 years, then by 2200, everyone will be trans.
Oh my God.
I think everybody should at least try the other way once. But you know.
My response to that is, you're saying that like it's a bad thing.
No, I am not.
You need to establish. That 2200 everyone will be trans. Okay.
Well, yeah, but you see, if everyone is trans, there's a part of the secret conspiracy that the SJWs are manufacturing to try to exterminate society by making everyone trans, so that we can't breed a powerful population and that humanity will be wiped out.
Well, I am okay. Let's say I was. Let's say I was.
I'm sorry, that is genuinely the thinking. Like, I legitimately was like made up a conspiracy theory similar, jokingly, and the person was like realized how close that was to their actual views.
Well, let's say I actually am XY, which I'm not. So, although nobody's all of one or the other, as we know.
Well, X and Y are mainly the shapes. When you start talking about the general chromosomal, like the actual genetics of it, you start going into DNA strands and the various aspects that happen to be in the DNA, and sometimes you can have more of some things or less of some things, and there's only like a couple genes that really deal with most of the primary and secondary sexual characteristic stuff. So,
you know what I have found really useful for explaining it? Blood type. It's really hard to explain the chromosomal things with the X, Y, and so on. Where you go, look at what you were taught in school, how simplistic it is. Now let's deal with what the reality is. And you start trying to get them into reading up on what actual goes into blood typing, where it's incredibly complex. And they go, okay, it's a parallel that they can see where they were taught something in school and it's just not that simple.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, but then you run the risk of them just saying that. So what you're saying is all trans people are secretly blood type, corrupted blood type AB individuals.
Okay, well. There's always some way it can go off the rails.
I was also born allergic to my own blood, so I was. They did a tricky thing that was tricky in 1965. That's for sure. Okay, let's say I was actually XY. My chances of being trans are more than the chances of this. Of having red hair.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say of having curly hair.
Oh no. This is my natural color.
Yeah.
So the being a redhead it's more likely I will be trans than I'll be a redhead. So I'm a minority of a minority. There you go.
Look, you are so unlikely, Christy. You're like the most unlikely person in existence, and you happen to be a co-host on this show. Like, we don't normally have trans intersex redheads, like demisexual trans intersex redheads on the show, but like that's gotta be you've gotta be like 1 in a million or maybe even like 1 in a billion for all I know.
I'm just me.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying statistically, you're awesome. I don't know where I was going with that.
Statistically, I am very unlikely.
Statistically, you're awesome.
Yeah, statistically, you're awesome. That's how that works.
Yes, I know, and I've got a lot of things that are different, but everybody has a lot of things that are different that they just don't know about.
Well, yeah,
that are unlikely. We're all very unlikely.
Well, there's a variety of cultural things as well, but as for the to bring things back to the conversation about essentialism versus people making change, it does seem like a lot of times there's random exceptions, and I know it gets pointed out a lot, but like most people take medication if it's prescribed to them. Most people take medication.
We get vaccines. We get vaccines if we're not idiots.
Well, yeah. Well, anti-vaxxers is also
most of the
along
time
the similar mentality.
Mismanage their medication. I mean, that's just a fact. People are better at giving their pets the medication as prescribed than giving it to themselves.
Well, unless you're on the autism spectrum. No,
maybe.
Because I hear, like, no, it is legitimately common in terms of like, I'm being given a specific instruction, so I'll follow the instruction as it was stated, and I'm not going to make any of the assumptions they might assume that I might make. So, like, I was raiding once in World of Warcraft Classic, and there was a problem with how I was raiding, because I was told only to heal, like, these specific people. So I only healed those specific people and healed nobody else. But the assumption was I would also focus on the main tank, but I wasn't told that I should focus on the main tank. So I didn't know what to do when the people that I was supposed to heal, that I was told to heal, died. And I was like, I don't know what I was supposed to do.
Well, you and I are both. You forgot you forgot Aspie, you and me.
Well, yeah, I mean, admittedly, I would have been diagnosed with Asperger's if it weren't for the fact that if I'd stayed going to a psychologist at earlier time before they moved it to the autism spectrum.
I'm good. I mean, they're moving ADHD to the autism spectrum too, which it's about fucking time.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. There's and what I sure. Let's bring back my stammer. I loved my stammer.
You know what? Your stammer is an aspect of the way you happen to speak, and we like having you as a co-host.
Yeah.
So therefore, your stammer is likable. Proof that your stammer is likable. You've got more subscribers on your own channel than the Fluid Voice has as a whole. Therefore,
XX, Red Air, and you stammer. See?
Yeah, and you've got more subscribers on YouTube
statistically
than Fluid Voice. So therefore, if anything, I'm dragging the Fluid Voice down. It could have been much more with just you, Christy.
You're overloading me. People are being. I'm getting an overload of people being nice to me. I'm not used to it. I don't want to. It's freaking me out.
I don't know how to deal with it either. Admittedly, I probably should have thought of that beforehand.
I had a point. Oh yeah. essentialism also of the. I'm just going to keep calling it essentialism, and I apologize, but wanting a cure for autism. It's like
Why?
I can see maybe in certain cases where it's
Oh no, I
a
think that
heavy.
would be tragic. I think that represents part of the problem of the idea of genetic engineering.
Yeah, it's well when it's
So much genius is associated with autism. So much enlightenment and endeavor for mankind is associated with autism. That there's avenues of exploration that people have suggested that suggests that it's forming selective forms of brain damage, that the rerouting is either superior or inferior, and this sort of thing, and all of that if you manage to cure autism, it's quite possibly you'd be diminishing the whole of mankind just a little bit. We'd be a little bit, the flame would be a little dimmer.
well, yeah. I mean, I was trying to be very, very, very specific in that where it is, you know what? I'm actually not able to make this case, so I'm going to change my mind on it.
Okay.
Well then, I will just randomly spout something about the nature of ableism and how ingrained it is into society, because the like the fact of the matter is half the problems of being on the autism spectrum relate to the way that society is set up. If society was set up differently, it would be less of a problem. It might be like if most people were on the autism spectrum, then society would have likely been set up in such a way that's easier if you're on the autism spectrum, in that there would be a lot more assumed stuff relating to what people do. There'd be a lot less assumptions about some things, and a lot more detailed instructions. There'd just be a lot of little differences that might get annoying or seem unnecessary to the average person in society as it currently is.
Yeah, you mean people might not keep insisting that you maintain eye contact.
Yeah, like that weird ass thing.
Dude, who here watches Discovery?
Star Trek
I have.
Discovery or the Discovery Channel or
No, just go Star Trek Discovery. Dun, 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 dun.
I've been bad about watching any TV shows.
That's okay.
Outside of Strangely the Boys. I've been watching that with my roommates and enjoying that minus that transphobic episode.
There was a transphobic episode and I didn't catch it.
I want to say it was the second episode of The Boys. The general plot line related to a shapeshifter guy. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't take that as transit. Yeah, I didn't.
Well, I don't think that was I don't think the intent was to be transphobic, but the nature of the storyline fits in perfectly with the idea of transgender people being traps.
I took it as a satire on homophobia. So
yeah, and I get that. I just I saw it as something that, because the transphobic thing shows up in so much, it's hard for me not to see the potential harm for something to further justify that thing. You can have something that's making fun of homophobia, but at the same time be a transphobic take, even if it's unintentionally transphobic, it's one that it wasn't something I considered a deal breaker, and I don't think I don't have a reason to think that is the writer's intent.
Because the character himself, the character is gay, and it had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, but like
it was.
But like trans women are all just gay men who are trying to trick straight men into sleeping with them.
Oh, I don't want
like,
straight men sleeping with me right
well,
now.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying that is the trap narrative.
Well, yeah, I know.
And the show involves a yeah.
What I was going on Discovery. The reason I was going on Discovery, and we got sidetracked by the boys, which yeah, now I'm sidetracked onto the boys. There's two things. One, as a representation show, it's awesome. And now they have two trans well, they will have two trans characters. One just showed up. But one of the things on the show, I mean, you're aware that I've been really exploring myself a lot, which sounds dirty, but I'm really trying to figure.
No, I know you're talking about the mental and emotional exploration, and not physically exploring yourself. That was more of what I've been doing recently, but that's another story.
Yes.
Sorry, that was I'm joking. There hasn't been that much exploration. Look, I've been in pain mostly since Tuesday.
I promise not to bring the fleshlight out for demonstration purposes.
Please don't.
It's right there.
No, don't. I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, Steve showed.
Flashlight is not advertiser friendly.
No, what? Steve show did not. One show did not get demonetized when my friend and I were comparing flashlights, which was a strange sidetrack in the show. I keep getting lost off this.
Anyway, Star Trek Discovery, 2 trans characters next season.
This season one just got introduced.
Yeah.
There are two things I wanted. The exploration of myself and coming to grips with being autistic and understanding what it means. Because I really hadn't, and I just sort of went along like everybody was trying to fool me on something, or maybe I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of like I there was so much I didn't understand about people, because I believe people, and I'm almost physically incapable of lying.
I, on the other hand, am very capable of lying if I have a reason to lie. For instance, if I'm playing Among Us, I will definitely, it's accepted and expected that I lie. Well, so I am totally fine with lying in that circumstance. Or if I need to protect someone who might be harmed if I give out specific information, I am willing to lie about that. It's hard to lie just randomly for no reason.
Well, I can lie the truth if I have to, and when, especially if someone's privacy is concerned. But you have never heard me lie on here. I have elided some things, which I've made sure, and then I've told you that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it's not like I believe people too easily. But there is a character on Discovery, which apparently is a lot of people's favorite character, which makes sense given their fan base. who is not stated, but is definitely Aspie.
Okay.
And I saw an interview with her, the actress who plays her, sorry. And the actress was displaying Aspie characteristics herself, which I thought, this is interesting. And she also said that the character was written that way. And when she had this season, without spoilers, she had she was one of the main focuses, and the way she reacted to things and the way she dealt with them was, I mean, she's also a chubby redhead, so that helps. But it was being seen. I mean, Ahmed on Community was being seen in a way too, but in a different way.
Yeah, Abed.
Did I say Ahmed? Sorry. Abed,
Yeah, no, I thought you said Abed. Anyways, no, I was gonna say Abed is a mixed bag of things, and it does not help that they just went full. I can't remember which season it was where they made Abed full crazy or whatever, or the view of once it's like everyone who's not neurotypical gets lumped in together in a negative way sometimes by society.
Well, Tilly is a lovable character, and she has some problems communicating, but she also, she feels everything deeply, and I mean, this is who I'm looking on the screen, and I'm like, I'd been kind of I kind of noticed it the last couple of seasons. I'm like, why do I relate to this person so much? And I really kind of analyzed it during the long break, and it was, she feels very deeply. She believes people. She thinks the best of people. It's the things that it's one of the things, and wants the best for everybody, and is very protective of people, but doubtful of her own abilities. And of all, if you were to ask me to describe myself, this would be how I would hope I am. Or not hope I am. Most of that is just who I am. And I'm not saying that to be bragging, because that's not what I do.
Well, I mean that's the thing with representation in general. You end up seeing a character who you can relate to because there are various assumptions that are there are assumptions on what people in general will relate to, and if you're not neurotypical, chances are you're not going to relate to a neurotypical character as well.
Yeah. When they did the big set piece on in episode 2 of this season, at some point I just started crying, which admittedly is easy for me to do, but
it's okay, it's easy for me too.
it was like, and I just said it. I mean, I said out loud. I sit here. I watch it from the same place I'm doing this here. I watch it on my computer, and I just said I feel seen, which is something I don't usually say. And if you wanted to be essentialist about things, I shouldn't be around.
Yeah, I mean that is a big problem with essentialism. So essentialism goes against the idea that there are benefits to having a diverse humanity, and that people should. It's more essentialism seems more about how humanity should be, and less about how humanity is. And
well, I'm not even sure it's how humanity should be. It's a matter of how humanity would be convenient to sort.
Yeah,
ooh, yeah.
I think a lot of my traits, and again, not bragging, I think a lot of my natural traits are good. They have, due to some of my circumstances when I was younger, they were bad because I didn't protect myself from things that I should have. But I wouldn't have been able to anyway. That's a story I just realized I started and I don't want to get into.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think I think being honest, I think wanting the best for other people, I think being able to believe in people are good things. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean that gets down to the ethics of what is good and what is bad. If you want, if in terms of your ethics you care about the short-term acquisition of a powerful set of people, then what's best for people is less important than what's best for whatever group of people you want to manufacture. And in terms of getting back to manufacturing physical changes, I know we brought up briefly some of the aspects of eugenics and some of the because there are ways in which you can make physical changes that are good, and there are ways that are bad, and oftentimes I get the impression that it comes down to bodily autonomy.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, of course, but
yeah,
I guess. Yeah, I wasn't trying to hearken to eugenics when I was talking about the genetic engineering.
well, I mean, it is essentially
simple genetic engineering, not where they're.
But I mean, it's essentially genetic engineering to try to create a more perfect humanity, whatever that version of perfect is. Not your perfect,
yes,
because your perfect is the good kind of perfect. No, the thing is, obviously, people think when they think of eugenics, they might think of trying to create trying to make humanity all light-skinned people by removing all people of a skin tone that's not as light-skinned.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things, you could also make an argument if you're talking about creating. I guess I always got the impression that the essence of eugenics is trying to make a humanity that you want, regardless of what other people want.
Some kind of collective aesthetic perfection, which always entails collective uniformity.
Yeah. And if you're talking about genetically if you're talking about either the easiest way currently is in the womb, going and finding the genetic thing, and if they genetically are on the autism spectrum, having an abortion or taking
or correcting that. I mean, even if you just
or
I'm just going
genetically
to insert my
altering
nanoprobes, and they're going to correct that.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, or genetically altering the embryo, then yeah, that is still eugenics. It's just a nicer sounding eugenics.
Oh, and
Yes, I'm going to submit. I'm going to use gene therapy to address the embryo, and I'm going to cure it of being dark skinned or dark haired. Or you go, well, that's, you can use words like cure there, but I'm not sure you're curing.
Yeah, and while there are certain things where, yeah, if the child, if we don't have a way for the child to survive, then providing the birth of a child to once you start getting to the decrease of suffering based off of things that we can't control, that's different story than that starts to get into an ethical thing as opposed to society, which we can control. And a lot of issues that relate to ableism, whether you're blind, whether you can't hear, a lot of these things are the difficulty is in relation to society. Because, like, if everyone was deaf, they would be able to deal with the advantage of having loud noise everywhere and wouldn't think about it. Like, there are unspoken advantages and unspoken disadvantages to just about every aspect of psychological stuff, and um, that's where things start to get really complicated.
Part of the problem is that autism covers such a spectrum that
yeah.
that autism can be profoundly disabling. Autism can also be modestly inconvenient, and that somehow it's all together. You can't, so the object of curing autism starts sounding bizarre when you start considering the modestly inconvenient. But it doesn't seem so bizarre when you're talking about the profoundly disabling.
Situationally, it's been, and I'm talking just for me because I've had to live on the streets and stuff. I've been homeless. That's where it's been a problem. Because I'm not suited for that environment. Oh.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't know. You're hitting. There's a lot of things I wouldn't change. I mean, I like getting rid of the self-anger that I had for so many years, which is its own thing. But I think I think were I to be able to snap my fingers and say, be a cis neurotypical person. If you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have done it. If you were to ask me now, I would say no. I'd like to get some of the stuff, done without pain. That would be nice, but it's okay. But there in your modification though, I have 2 genetic defects that do cause a lot of problems, which have nothing to do with the normal statistical curve. I have a vertebrae that's too big for my.
Yeah, we may have frozen up.
Oh, no. No. Wait.
No.
Is it
Not right
frozen for
then.
you?
Yeah, it's frozen for me.
Or is it just Christy that's frozen?
I think it is just
called
Christy that froze.
microseizures.
Oh. I was like, sorry about that. I
No,
had to go to
Christy,
the
you
bathroom
froze up.
because
Where did I stop?
I don't know. I was in the bathroom.
It's called. It was your last words, and then you came back and you said microseizures, which seemed almost like a continuation. But
Oh,
yeah.
no, I froze physically.
no, there was quite some time. We had a little conversation while you were frozen.
Oh,
Like
well,
the screen was frozen
no, yeah, I have a microseizure
as well.
problem, which.
Well, your microseizure may have caused the camera to also have a microseizure.
But no, I wouldn't. I don't think I would be 6. I don't think that would be. I definitely am not male. I've never been male, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be. That's what I was thinking is the devil I know as opposed to the devil I don't. It would be very hard to go, I'll take that because you have no experience of what that is.
I'm being very reflective today, but I was being very reflective before we got on the air, so I apologize for taking up a lot of the time.
Well, I mean, that's okay. Technically, we've gotten to the point where we can go off topic. That said, we've been off topic a fair amount randomly, and some of this may have been relatively last second. I blame the fact that I had a surgery on Tuesday. So
yeah,
okay, look, my boobs are bigger and they hurt, so that means I have to drink more water, which means I have to pee more, and Spiro is already making me have to pee a lot, so
yeah, Spiro, the great irrigator.
yeah, the great irrigator.
No, this is a conversation I wanted to have for a while, so
okay.
Because this is stuff I've been trying to gain clarity on a lot of not how I feel about this, but how I think about it. I know how I feel about it. And this is sort of this is a talking cure right now.
Well, good. We are your therapists right here. We charge about $45 an hour, so I apologize, but we're gonna have to ask for $90 after this episode of the Fluid Voice.
Take it out of my Patreon funds.
No.
You both have separately at one point or another, and Ellie uh, Elle has as well, and I never understood it. And you've all said like I am the heart of this show, and I don't understand it, and I don't. I'm just gonna go with I don't. I was gonna make all sorts of flustery this, that, and the
Well, I
other.
mean, admittedly, it is a feelings-based argument and not a facts-based argument. But ultimately, I think it relates to... I don't know, maybe it just relates to the way you talk about things. Because you... Maybe making stuff into a story helps make it easier to vibe with your general attitude, and gives me more things to play off of. Maybe the fact that you're different enough to think different causes it to be easier to play off each other, because it's easier to think about different things when you're talking with someone who thinks differently, who says things you wouldn't think of. I don't know. I mean, I guess I also feel like you're better at telling stories in some ways, and that I get focused on certain things and trying to stick with certain things, and if I don't know how to make things do the things, if I don't know how to make things do the things, if I don't know how to make things continue completely on topic, then it's easier for me to get worried. But you branching out and saying stuff actually helps, because it makes it easier to be less concerned about stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure completely. You just you're just clearly the heart of the show. It's a feelings-based argument. Ad populum.
Yeah, but
it's going to be
everybody
enforced.
seems to be in agreement on it, so I think.
Well, yeah, I know. Ad populum. Ad populum must be enforced. So therefore, it must be true, and you just have to accept it, Christy.
Well, no, I'm not fishing for compliments.
I know you're not fishing for compliments. That's the endearing thing that we like, but you're trying to understand how there can be a good thing that we are applying to you that lots of people agree on, and you can't figure it out, and we don't know exactly why we like you as much as you do, and we feel like you're the heart of the show. It's just it's like, how long did it take you to explain everything about being trans, Christy?
I don't think I have yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll let you know when I'm done.
Exactly. So it's the same thing with you being the heart of the show. We know it's the case. We just don't have a good explanation for it, and we don't know how to actually explain the feeling. We just know that when you're not here, the show feels slightly emptier, and not just because we miss you. It's because you bring something. It's like you're the spice. It's like the fluid voice is a nice meal, and I spend a lot of effort with the ingredients and whatnot, and you just pick out the right spices, and it just makes all the difference. Christy.
Oh, okay. And now I'm gonna start. Now I'm gonna just be embarrassed type, and okay, I'll stop talking. I shouldn't have asked that on air, but you said it on air, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah, well, I mean, no, this is now we change. I have I mean, I haven't officially changed the title, but this is now a compliment Christy episode. That's the name of the episode now,
oh, no.
and just embarrass the hell out of her because she's actually an endearing person.
I wasn't expecting any of that. I'm sorry.
There's nothing to apologize for.
My thing is,
we caused this.
Your way of relating to things and you relate a story, and that you tell things through a story, and that sometimes it's inobvious at first, but your stories are really astute, and they frequently have they reflect on the issue in an important way that sometimes is not obvious at the start, but it comes around and you get it. It's just need to listen to the story, and that once, and I really appreciate it.
I'm so used to shut up, Christopher.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When you get friends who appreciate you, they don't do that. And then, yeah. Just that.
Okay, I don't want to press this anymore. I want to bitch at the BBC for a second.
Yeah, there are like two things that you definitely wanted to bitch at, and the BBC was one of them. There's good reason to bitch at the BBC.
BBC News has decided that their anchors are not allowed to go to LGBT pride marches for the political, because dealing with trans people would be considered political.
Yay, the BBC is now becoming increasingly transphobic and right-wing.
Yeah, I actually don't usually tweet to the BBC because why would I? But the Doctor Who sucked this week. What else am I gonna do? Except it didn't, because Doctor Who's awesome. But yeah, I tweeted. I'm politically. What was it? I'm politically active because that's my nature. My existence is not political.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to avoid. This comes to the apolitical thing, and fuck, I just heard a long conversation about the nature of the wait, was that about the fairness doctrine? Whatever. You can't make something apolitical. Either you have something that is promoting values as they currently are, or you have something that's promoting different values. And because those values affect people's lives, it's kind of hard for it not to be political. If you make the statement that this should be avoided, well, that's a political statement to say that you avoid LGBT stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
that's a political statement.
Yeah, if they're trying to avoid political controversy, they cause political controversy.
Yeah, and if they exclusively view straight stuff, so like this is the thing about political. It is political for straight to be the assumed nature, for men to be the assumed nature, for someone doing action. for white people to be assumed to be the if it's a person, it must be a white person. That's the default. And having the idea of being black, being gay, being I can't remember the other thing. I already lost my train of thought. But the point is, for those things to be atypical, for those things to be not assumed, but to have one skin color, one sexuality, one of all these things to be assumed is inherently political. It's saying this is the normal, other stuff is different. It's normal to be white, it's weird to be black, is essentially the political statement that you're making if you only cast white people in roles, or you only talk about issues that affect white people.
In Discovery, I'm gonna go back to Discovery.
Wait, that's a political show. I'm sorry. We're a very apolitical podcast. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh yeah, we're absolutely apolitical.
Yeah, totally apolitical.
When talking about representation, because it hit me during the first episode of the season, which with no spoilers, but there were no white people. I mean, there was. I assume that some of the people in makeup and alien makeup were white, until one scene slightly near the end, or slightly about halfway through, who was in a small group of people, and it was then that I noticed that there hadn't been any white people, because he stood out.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the ways to do representation well. Ignoring I'm sorry, I actually freeze like for real once in a while, and it's probably messing up with the are you frozen or not? No, I just stopped. It's like TikTok man have laws.
It's fine. There's no need to worry about it too much.
But it's on the representation. To not have news about Pride is to make Pride not irrelevant, but not valued.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to phrase that.
Yeah, and it's we're you want to turn it back into riots? I mean, I'm up for it, but I'd rather not. I kind of like not rioting.
Well, ultimately it relates to. So I think when people think of politics, they tend to think of the things that they're uncomfortable with, and people don't think about politics when they think about the things that they are comfortable with. Most of the things that you're comfortable with are the things that you've been taught since a child. Those are the things you're comfortable with. Those are the things you know and are familiar with. I mean, not everyone obviously is comfortable with the things they're taught as a child, but like, a cis straight het dude would it's very easy, and Perfict, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
A cis straight het dude would be really comfortable seeing a bunch of cis white het dudes doing awesome stuff, and even if like no black people or no gay people or no women were there, it would be like comfortable and expected and happens a lot.
Yeah, that would be the norm, is that there would be no notice that there was no minorities or no other representation. That would not hit any buttons in your head. That's true.
For yeah, if you are cis white male, but like if you're
Right.
if there's like a black guy, it's going to feel less comfortable to never see black dudes play heroes in movies, or almost never.
Yeah. I was
I mean, Black Panther was fucking awesome, and um, it's a shame that the actor died.
I was reading a magazine in a doctor's office, and I'd been reading the magazine for a little bit, and I went, there's not like a single white person in any of these ads. And I went back and looked at the cover of the magazine, and it's Ebony.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, that makes sense here.
But if done right, it takes a while to notice. But whitewashing also, for the same reason, takes a while to notice. I mean, a lot of people had a shit ton of problems with Discovery because it had A, female lead, and B, a black female lead.
which is weird, and it maybe relates to some people finding it uncomfortable that they're seeing something different than they usually see, and therefore that gets associated with political, despite the fact that having Captain Picard, a British guy who I guess is supposedly French despite only singing French Canadian songs, is, and speaking with a British accent, is apparently the people don't think about how that's also political, and they're just not seeing it from the other side.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick aside just for Perfict. Will Wheaton is older now than Patrick Stewart was when he started as Picard.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense, because Picard had like early balding and I presume early graying hair as well.
Oh yeah, I saw a thing from him from 1971. He was already mostly bald.
Yeah.
But it's a
Wait, was it I, Claudius?
no, it was Civilization. It was a BBC documentary.
Gotcha, sorry. I remember Patrick Stewart from I, Claudius. I can't remember if that was the 70s or the 80s.
I don't remember either. But Dune also. I mean, I saw him on a few things.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That specifically.
That was the 80s.
It was his earliest TV appearance, and he was already almost bald. I just thought that was to make Perfict feel old.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love what I love what Macaulay Culkin tweeted out a few weeks ago, which was, "Everybody want to feel old? I'm 40."
Oh God. Yeah, and I mean, also, back to The Boys for some reason, because darn it, that one actor's in that, but older significantly. Wow, this would have helped if I actually remembered names. The other child actor who was famous, the one, I See Dead People.
Yep.
Oh.
Did the voice of Sora in Kingdom Hearts. Don't ask me why I know that.
Don't ask me why I know that too. Why can't I remember his name? Sure, as soon as you started
I
describing it.
know, like it's awful.
Well, the woman, the girl from Karate Kid is also in The Boys. So
In the chat here, Haley Joe Osment.
Oh, Haley Joel Osment, yeah.
Osment, yeah. The girl from Karate Kid. Since we went back to.
I don't remember who that is. Anyways,
But
people age.
People age, yeah. Yeah, you won't believe what they look like now. Yes, I do understand the natural function of aging.
You won't believe that
and also from
LeBron James and I are about the same age.
Yep.
Either Emily Chambers knows these names by heart or her Google Fu is strong.
Emily Chambers is an awesome human being who I'm very happy to know.
Yeah. So,
take that, Emily.
Yeah, take that. Take all the love and support. This is the Fluid Voice episode. You are lovely and you matter. And we haven't even gotten to the end part. By the way, randomly thought of it. You should make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Tell your friends, and honest to God, I will fix the Patreon soon.
Yeah, and we do actually plan on making an intro thingy. I had COVID and then I had a surgery, okay? Like I thought of it and then I didn't. Oh, LeBron James is older than me.
I started writing again, so
December 30th, 1984.
Yeah, I started writing music again. I wrote a lullaby for my girlfriend Jane, who is very lovely, and I said I should write. I said I'll sing you. I'll play you a lullaby, but I have to write one first. So I did.
Yeah, and I am technically participating in NaNoWriMo, or NaNoWriMo, the November Write More thing. Look, I want an excuse to write words in my novel that only has 16,000 words, and yeah, that is also a thing. But Christy, you were going to bring up there was something about the presidential election you wanted to bitch about.
Oh no, I don't want to bitch about the presidential election. I am very nervous about it.
Oh, okay.
And
maybe I conflated that in the BBC.
No, the BBC, I really wanted it. There's a lot of things about what's going on with the BBC that I want to bitch about. There's a lot of things I want to bitch about in Britain. And Jeremy Corbyn just getting kicked from the Labour Party is one of them, but that's not, that's, you know, we have our resident Brit for things like that. No, I'm very nervous about the presidential election. My ex-wife is more nervous and has been making sure everything because the Cyrus, Tyron, doesn't matter. He quit the show, so Cyrus. His name is Cyrus. Making sure everything gets pre-done while before the presidential election, before the election, for the kid, which, you know, I get it, but I'm not as worried as she is.
Well, yeah, for me, I am personally not as worried because I know Minnesota did a bunch of state laws before there were federal laws to protect people for being trans in Minnesota. Not to say that I'm not nervous at all, but I'm not as nervous at the moment.
Yeah, I've Amy Coney Barrett makes me more nervous, to be perfectly honest. But I want to remind people that I have been voting. I have missed 2 midterm elections in the entire time I've been voting for 36 years. I have never once gotten a sticker. So I keep voting in hopes that they'll give me a sticker.
Okay.
But now I'm so used to it, I probably won't stop afterwards.
Yeah, I mostly, maybe that's why I haven't voted as much as you, is because they gave me a sticker and then maybe I was just like, good, I'm fine.
I really want a sticker, but
admittedly, I'm also not in a swing state, although Minnesota is getting closer and closer to being a swing state.
Well, you do live in a swing district, semi-swing district.
Everything's
Ramsey
a swing
County?
state.
Yeah, more specifically where you live. But I'm not gonna say where you live, so.
Sorry, I went to count. Yeah. Anyways,
also, people should remember that there's more going on than just the presidential election.
Yeah. In fact, you should vote for sheriff, specifically if you're from New Hampshire. You should vote for Aria DeMeso as sheriff, because she actually wants to do stuff to affect the police, and she tried to fuck the system to do it, and that apparently grouped her in with or caused people to group her in with bad people. But also Congress. Yes, Congress matters too. And there are a lot of things that matter in terms of voting. Honestly,
I live in a district where let's not the midterms, because the midterms around here are already pretty much done by the time I even get to the polls. But the last major election we had here, out of the 12 spots that you could vote on, 11 of them were blue and the other one was tied. That is how Democrat my area is. But I'm still voting. I'm sad we do not have a choice for sheriff, who is on 5 different party lines. I might, because he's not terrible, but he's not. We could do better. But yeah, Higgins is up, and he's been pretty good for representative. I won't dox myself to the point of saying some of the other people that are up in my area, but Higgins is our U.S. House. Neither of our senators is up, but I am definitely voting Biden-Harris. I'm for all the people that worry about it. Joe Biden is far lefter than he seems. I know.
Wait! Hear me out. Are you saying his positions have changed over time?
Because he learned and grew? Yeah, that does happen.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I say.
No, seriously, in terms of the things that Joe Biden has stated in terms of what he's going to go for is definitely I uh, getting the anti-trans stuff fixed. By fixed, I mean not anti-trans anymore. The anti-trans
Well, yeah, he's been an LGBTQ ally for a long time.
well, I mean,
It,
define long time.
well, a fairly long time. The
10 years.
more than that. The
Or oh yeah, no, fuck. I forget how far time goes. Did you know that 1990 was 30 years ago?
yeah,
Yep.
the Defense of Marriage Act during Clinton, which was a compromise, which takes so long to explain to people, I don't even bother anymore.
Yeah, but Bill Clinton is it's whatever.
If you look at Joe Biden's political career, he has always, when running, gone the straight Democratic Party ticket. Whatever they were doing, that was his thing.
Yeah.
And then there was one or two issues where he diverged from them, either being more to the left or more centrist, but a divergence from the party line.
Look, the
This
point
time,
is we.
I don't know what his things are, but I bet he's going to do exactly the same thing. He will be following the Democratic Party ticket, and he'll have a couple of things where he diverges from them, and those are his things.
Well,
And we don't know what they'll be.
The thing is, Trump will actively try to squash any sort of political statement to say that there are things in our government that is wrong and need to be fixed. Whereas I don't think any sort of Democratic candidate would immediately I don't think a Democratic candidate would go and send unmarked vans into protest areas and start and kidnap people for a little bit and possibly to gather information about the person. I don't think that Biden would do that. You know, there's a lot of things that it's one thing. Voting
You're
is
suggesting there are subtle differences between Biden and Trump.
Yes, I mean Biden is not Trump, and that's enough of a reason to vote for him because voting is one thing, but that doesn't mean that voting isn't a fix that's going to mean that protests are going to stop or should stop or anything like that. And shit, there was something I was going to say. More people should try to run for sheriff that who aren't former police officers.
Yes.
And that would be beneficial. Everyone's got a different year for when the next sheriff election is. I can't remember. It's not this year. The sheriff election isn't this year in Minnesota, but I know it's somewhere. It's a 4-year office, I think. So
I don't. It's 2 years here. I don't know.
Whatever. The point is.
I've seen John Flynn on the ballot so many goddamn times.
Yeah, the thing is, it's oftentimes things with only so many votes, and I think with a good dedicated campaign, you can fight for that, and through the act of getting into through the act of becoming a sheriff, you can put a change in the police force in a more direct way that you wouldn't normally be able to.
I was one of the chats I mod because I mod people. Apparently, I don't know. I mod a whole bunch of chats. But one of the things I mod, another of the a person in the chat said, someone just told me voting is direct action. Isn't that stupid? I'm like, no, that's not stupid. Voting is absolutely
No.
direct action.
Yeah, it's just not.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
And the thing is, like, we have a large system that most people have agreed to exist as a system. And because of that, that system has a certain amount of power. So there's direct action to try to change things, and yeah, voting is a direct action to try to change things indirectly, because no action that you take is completely direct action.
thank you.
I have talked with someone recently who was maintaining that funding a soup kitchen was not direct action, but handing a homeless person a sandwich was. And that's where they defined what was direct action and what was not.
Well,
I mean,
Under that idea of what was direct action and what isn't direct action, I guess voting wouldn't be direct action. But that's not, I don't think that's a normal understanding of direct action.
well, what it is
I
it's
think
incredibly nitpicky.
I may be. Well, you don't usually hear me insult people, but I think that's that person being very self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, and because I mean,
Oh,
like,
I just stopped right there. Oh, okay.
Nope. No argument from me.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I mean, it is, but it's also, to some degrees, it is a take that only if you physically do stuff does it count as you actually doing stuff. Whereas money is a known system of money equals power to some degree, and you are giving power to a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
That is you directly giving a soup kitchen
The power to give people food.
Yeah, more funds to give people food. And when it comes to charities, yeah, giving directly to soup kitchen is oftentimes more helpful than giving a sandwich to someone if you happen to see them. Not to say that giving a sandwich to someone who, if you see them, isn't a bad thing. It's it's always a yeah, I know. It's always a good thing to. Every little thing makes an impact, and if you can do that. It is still a good thing, but it's neither better nor worse than giving money to a soup kitchen. It just is what it is.
Well, as far as voting, voting is that's what I was trying to explain. No direct action is direct causally. It's always going to be representative because you're not going to be able to do everything. I'm not going to be able to pave my street. I can fix the power lines if somebody absolutely insisted I do it, because my stepfather didn't teach me much, but that's one of the things he taught me how to do. It's voting is the simplest direct action that everybody can do, and
it's simple.
I just realized I said that.
Yeah, that's gonna be how simple it is really dependent with all the voter suppression going on.
Yeah,
and that has gone on historically.
Yeah,
I keep forgetting I live in some I live in a place where they actually care about that stuff.
I forgot you'd entered dystopian future.
Yeah, I keep trying to give Buffalo back to Canada, and they keep turning me down. I'm very sad about that.
Yeah, but like Canada gave us Jordan Peterson and has a Nazi memorial protected by the Canadian government. So I mean, there are downsides to Canada as well.
You can't
and
give Canada Buffalo. Then they'd have both sides of the fall. They already got the better side. They don't need both sides.
oh, it's pretty awesome from this side. I mean, I've seen both sides. I've seen the falls from both sides now, from up and from no, it's one of the nice things about the American side is you can climb down it.
But yeah, voting is an action that we are. It's one of the few direct actions that we're actually taught how to do.
Yes, and protesting and everything is great and should be done, and I've certainly done it.
Arguably, writing should be done as well. If we're talking about the amount of things that'll occur that will prevent a protest from being ignored, but that starts to get into the whether that starts to get into the argument about whether or not a threat of violence is more beneficial or harmful to making your point heard.
I thankfully have never been part of a riot. I almost was during this most recent thing, the one that ended with the old guy being pushed down. But
yeah,
I couldn't, for various reasons. I couldn't do it that day. But it's right. Rioting is what it is. Rioting is the cry of the unheard.
Yeah, I've been pointing out to pointing it out a lot to people recently. They think things of like Gandhi's march to the sea, where he walked to the sea. He was going to make salt.
Yeah,
and that which was illegal. You weren't allowed to make your own salt, to collect your own salt from the sea flats. That was when that was unreasonable because people need salt, and so he went to do it himself, and was defying them, saying, "Arrest me," and the threat was, "There will be riots. If you arrest me, there will be riots."
Yeah, there were riots when Gandhi fasted. There were riots for like a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and when he went there, and why they didn't arrest him, and why they didn't arrest the crowd that was with him, and so on, was if they did that, there'd be riots. So, I mean, the threat of violence is frequently part of a peaceful protest.
The monopoly on violence.
Not always, but frequently.
You were saying before about pulling a story back. I'm sure I told this story before, but I was watching something. A Canadian prison warden said that that prisons only work with the consent of the imprisoned.
Yeah.
And that has never gone away from me. It makes sense on different levels in different ways, but the most important way to show dissent or consent is voting because that is, Vox, okay, Vox Populi, Vox Dei is not really true, but we we can kick this asshole out.
Well, yeah. The thing is, um, not voting is not going, or even arguably voting third party is not going to change the system. Protests and riots about the fact that we have a two-party system is going to change the system.
I vote on the working families line.
Well, we really can't get out of being a two-party system with the entire system that we have. We require a massive rework. But my political
no, but not that
if
massive.
you just ended the ability for the states to decide whether they were all or nothing or an apportioned vote, it would allow for the development of a third party. Then that third party would either consume one of the present two, or one of the present two would consume it. That's just how it would always work.
Well,
But
that's
continually
only
be allowed to grow is the thing, and that would be an important addition.
Well, the thing is, for it to be, you have to take the winner to, you have to remove the winner take all mentality, because
it would mean that people could campaign in Florida and go, there's 29 votes, and I can pick up 3 or 2 or 1.
Yeah.
One electoral college vote out of the 29 I can get. I can't get half the state. So there's no point in my campaigning there.
Well, it's
just a gesture.
There's 2 states that have district voting, Maine and Nebraska, which
I thought Maryland as well. I thought, but
no, not unless something has changed and I didn't hear about it, and I'll feel awful in the morning.
Okay, I could have been wrong.
But the Maine has started ranked voting. Maine has started ranked voting, and there is no perfect system of voting. I can show you how to absolutely scam ranked voting. But I think ranked voting is a smart way to go.
Well, I mean, each step makes to make things better, and then you can work towards the next step. And as each step gets normalized more, it's less likely for things to go back.
I think there are too many. I love my lefty friends. I do, and their hearts are all in the right place, or at least I expect so, because there is a slight distribution over heart placement. That was a weird thing to say. I was trying to remember that. I was trying to remember the actual medical condition name. There's a name for it.
Oh.
But I didn't, so I just went on with the joke anyway. I think their hearts are in the right place, but they don't understand that there are times when they can come across as veruca salt.
That can come off as what?
Veruca salt.
Why is my brain? Oh, I want it now.
I want it now.
Yeah.
Now.
And the thing is, you can't change large amounts of people's minds now, and the as much as you might like something to change, the fact of the matter is you have to get enough people to go along with that change.
Yeah.
And that is not a simple task. But that said, we are getting close to the end. I feel like starting with me randomly. I'm Ozma in the dark. I am probably going to be recovering from surgery a bunch. I may get something out there. I may not. On Tuesday, I will finally get to learn how to change bandages. So then maybe that'll help prevent my bandages and or wounds from being as itchy. But maybe not. Maybe that's just the healing process. I don't know. You can find me everywhere at osmainthedark.com and on Twitter as Talking to Nothing, so maybe not everywhere, but that's TALKTONOTHIN. And yeah, like I essentially said, maybe stuff will come out that I had recorded. Maybe. Perfect. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Discord at the Rumpus Room, and links down below. And I do this every week.
Yep, and we love having you on here every week. Christy, how about you? Where can people find you, and is there anything you're working on?
Yes, there is stuff I'm working on. I put up a preliminary demo version of a song up on Abbey Music today, which, you know, that's nice. I don't use that channel often enough. I'm realizing there's a lot of my songs that never got recorded. So I'm gonna in my storytelling mode in 1995, I thought there was a very good chance I was going to die that year for reasons which I can't quite explain. So I recorded everything I'd written up to that point, and I think I'm going to do that again, but not for that reason. So Abbey Music, not Christy, just Chris. ABBEY, like the road. And Christy Abbey channel, my regular channel, is not going to be followed long, but I honestly can't give you a date for when I started up again. I'm very happy and motivated right now, so things will probably start looking a lot better.
Yeah.
And you will find me arguing with TERFs on Twitter or making bad jokes at Normality Quake. It's normality as in something I've never been able to grasp, and Quake as in earthquake, which hopefully I inspire. That made no sense. And I am going into the Patreon, and between us sometime within the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to figure out. Actually, well, let's make it by the end of the year, because we will start off the year with new ideas. But yeah. hopefully we will make Patreon worth your while. I don't know about Perfict, but Ozma and I can seriously use the money.
Yeah, that is true.
And I don't do this for money. This is not my motivation.
I don't know what my motivation is anymore.
My motivation is to hang out with friends, and I get more out of. In this show, I get a lot of self-examination done, which is worth it to me.
Oh.
And I get to do it amongst friends, and I think that's wonderful.
It's awesome.
Honestly, I get a lot of help in understanding how to better be an ally, which actually is really, really useful.
Yeah. Yay.
My big hope is that it's as useful for other people looking to do the same.
Yeah, no, that would be wonderful, especially if my roommate decide to watch the show more, maybe he could become a better ally. No, I'm not. He lives with me. Like it's not like I haven't talked with him a bunch. Anyways, if you like the show, like, comment, and subscribe to the Fluid Voice. And your voice matters, your mind matters, you matter.
I'll just start doing it. And just quick, perfect. You asked the right questions.
That really is true. You are like, I know that sounds like very little, but sometimes like asking the right questions makes a lot of difference in getting the right answers. They work hand in hand, questions and answers.
Well, thank you for the answers.
Well, thank you
for the questions. Yeah.
And so your voice matters, your life matters, and you matter.
I was close.
We really do love y'all, and
yeah, we do.
Well, except for you over there, we only tolerate you.
Understandable.
It's true. Oh, see, I started to do my outro, and I'm like, no, you continue your outro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I already did. Bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.